We've already discussed that Donald Trump privately knows he can't win. Tomorrow, I'll have a more detailed report on that for you. The report from Peter Alexander is that Trump realizes that he has no path to overturning the results of the election, but he's doing it as theater. The lawsuits, the fights, the seeking and receiving financial contributions. It's theater. But how is Donald Trump really doing? The speculation, of course, is that Donald Trump is clearly damaged and triggered. He's barely been seen in public since losing. He did one press briefing last week where he took no questions, simply saying, "I won." He briefly showed up yesterday at a wreath-laying ceremony for Veterans Day. And because we know about Donald Trump's narcissism and being a sore loser and egomaniac, never apologizing, never admitting defeat, one would imagine that Donald Trump is not taking this particularly well. Well, the Washington Post's Philip Rucker was on MSNBC yesterday, and he's covered this White House really well for years. He has a number of sources inside the Trump administration. And Philip Rucker says that the reality is Trump is quite fragile emotionally right now. Take a listen to this. Don't think it'll come as a surprise to anybody.
We haven't heard from the president this week. We saw him today. What's your reporting on where he is on his personal journey?
Well, Brian, his emotional state is quite fragile. We've not seen or heard from the president in several days, with the exception of this morning on a rainy day in Washington. He went out to Arlington National Cemetery to lay a wreath in observance of Veterans Day. But he has not been doing much governing, as best we can tell. He's actually fighting hard to keep a job that he doesn't seem content to do at the moment. Rather, he's been lighting up the phones from the White House. He's been calling friends, advisors, allies, in what one official described to my colleagues, Ashley Parker, Josh Stassi, and myself, as a search for good news. He's just casting about for somebody to tell him something good so he can hold on to hope that he might still win this election, even though the reality, the numbers are clearly against him. And he's starting to recognize that, so much so that he's talking about running again in 2024, which, if he held on to any sense that these election results were going to be overturned and he would be declared the victor, then he would not be talking about a 2024 campaign. But here we are. That is what he's talking about these last few days.
So it all makes sense. Quite fragile, barely leaving the White House, doing no governing, calling people, searching for good news to see if anybody might give him some good news, and thinking about running again in 2024. So I guess Trump's feelings are hurt, but remember, it's their side that always says facts don't care about your feelings. Isn't it time to buck up and accept the facts? And this isn't just Trump. This is the entire right. And say that he lost. They lost. That's it. And I saw this hilarious tweet yesterday. Who was it? It was like a both sides thing. Oh, it was Howard Kurtz, who I think now does like a media analysis show on Fox News, which is hilarious in principle. But Howard Kurtz tweeted both sides, see? And on one side, you had Trump alleging that he really won, and refusing to allow the Biden transition to officially start. And then the example of the left was that Whoopi Goldberg, I guess, said Trump supporters have to suck it up, saying, look, both sides. Hold on a second. One side is the current administration refusing to accept that they lost a presidential election and interfering with the president-elect's transition. That's one side. What you're comparing it to say both sides are doing it is Whoopi Goldberg saying random Trumpists should just accept that Trump lost. Both sides? Give me a break. And I was again reminded of that right-wing refrain. Facts don't care about your feelings. These are facts, guys. Trumpists are going to need to suck it up and accept the fact that Donald Trump lost. And at the same time, at some point, Trump is going to have to accept that Joe Biden is president of the United States. It could take months into Biden's presidency before Donald Trump accepts it. Now, I do want to talk about one other thing. I've not heard a lot of discussion about this. We do have a national security vulnerability right now that has developed. The reality is that Donald Trump really hasn't been doing his job as president for a long time, punted on coronavirus. He's almost exclusively been campaigning for months. There really hasn't been a president for a while. But we now have a more acute national security issue because Trump is doing no work. Trump reportedly hasn't been even receiving his presidential daily briefing. And when Trump was getting the PDB, he didn't pay attention. He didn't read it. Sometimes he would get distracted by a TV with Fox News in the back of the room. But Donald Trump is also not allowing the President-elect Joe Biden to start receiving the presidential daily briefing. Now, ideally, normally, in every other transition, the president is getting the presidential daily briefing and the president-elect also starts getting it. And that way you have a smooth transition. When Joe Biden comes into office on January 20th, he's aware and up to speed about everything that's going on, terrorism, national security threats, etc. We have a situation right now where for at least 2 months, no one is really getting the presidential daily briefing. Trump is president. He's not getting it. Biden is president-elect. He's not getting it. And on top of this, we have the report from Philip Rucker that Donald Trump's emotional state is quite fragile right now. So if you're a rogue nation, if you're an adversary, if you're an enemy, if you're a terrorist organization, you know there is a window of vulnerability here for the next 2 months and maybe for some period after, as Joe Biden gets settled and gets up to speed on everything. The U.S. is likely more vulnerable than usual. This is an invitation to do bad things, for lack of a better term. It is globally known. You need no sources. You don't need to eavesdrop on anything. It is globally known that right now, there's a total absence of leadership on national security. Nobody's getting the PDB at the highest levels of government. Anyone who would want to do us harm can just turn on TV and realize what's going on. Very disturbing, all because of Donald Trump's fragile ego and lack of willingness to formally admit defeat and sign off on Joe Biden starting to get the presidential daily briefing. It's disgusting. If you are anything like me, you probably aren't thrilled with the idea of going into a doctor's office right now. And thankfully, there's a practical and affordable way to take control of your health and get personalized care from the comfort of your home. It's a service called SteadyMD. They're one of our sponsors. You take a quiz, you get matched with a licensed primary care physician who understands your health needs. You have a 1-hour video call with your new doctor. You establish a meaningful relationship with them. And after that, your doctor is available to you anytime by text, phone, or video chat. This is not a random doctor on call. Each doctor at SteadyMD has a limited number of patients, so they actually have time to listen to you. You get the personal attention that you deserve. They can do almost everything an in-person doctor can do, perform medical evaluations, talk to you about health concerns, send prescriptions to your home or local pharmacy, and anything they can't do online, they'll quickly set you up with an in-person provider to do things like blood tests, as an example. You don't need insurance. It's only $99 a month with no other fees or copays. There are so many practical advantages to using SteadyMD for primary care, and it's also so much more affordable. Go to steadymd.com/Pakman to take the free quiz, see which doctor is right for you. I took their quiz. They matched me with a doctor who specializes in my particular health needs and situation. The doctor they gave me is a really perfect fit for me and my medical needs. There's no risk, no commitment to get started. Just click the link right underneath this video.